ようこそどうぞはじめまして
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. We're getting one in here before all the E3 coverage starts. Although I guess if we're recording on Saturday and this is going to go out later in the week, that'll all be done by the time you're listening to this. And actually, there has been some already, hasn't there?
Yeah, EA's stuff was today or whatever.
Did they show Star Wars or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I haven't even seen any of that, so I can't say anything. I don't know if it was any good.
I think everyone else's conferences got leaked anyway already, so there's nothing to look forward to.
All right, well, insert joke about whatever remaining shocking news there might have happened between now and when this goes out. But yeah, we're here, of course, to talk about anime and, well, some anime games, I suppose. And, I'm Jel, your host as always. And, of course, my eternal co-host, the man who is always here. We have Iro.
I am indeed still here.
Yes, and back with us, we have Chris.
Couldn't keep me away.
Yes.
Drag you back in.
I guess you've been bitten by the podcast bug now.
I am fully influenced. Ready to become an influencer myself.
Yes.
Yep.
We've just also expanded the GLORIO network to a new podcast with Chris and Colin. So we'll get to all. Yeah, go ahead.
Is this the pitch?
Ahead, yeah, give it the quick pitch here while we're here.
If you like the idea of giant fire breathing turtles and don't want to watch a bad film about them, then listen to our podcast.
Yes, timely, I guess, with the new there was a Godzilla movie that just came out, right?
Yeah, I just saw that the other day, actually. If we're going to segue into what have we been up to.
Sure. Yeah. What have you been up to, Iro?
I saw Godzilla, King of the Monsters 2019 the other day.
Did you see it as well, Chris? Because I know you're a Godzilla fan.
I did. I might prefer the Godzilla King of the Monsters 1956 or whatever it was, but you know.
I, as a person who has not seen much kaiju film, I thought it was all right.
It was definitely all right.
Yeah, a lot of the writing is super hokey, I think, but also Godzilla, body slams Ghidorah through a building. That was all right.
It's pretty hard to go wrong with some monster fighting, and I don't think they did a particularly bad job of that. So, like as far as that goes, you're not going to be that disappointed. It's just it was bogged down in bad story and
humans are the disease.
Yeah, well,
Titans are the cure.
It was more like you know how Godzilla original one is famously an anti-nuclear film?
Yes, it is. Like Godzilla, the monster, is like an extended metaphor for man's misuse of nuclear power or something, right?
Yeah. This one is kind of the opposite, so...
We've come full circle on...
That's right. I guess you're right. They're like, the radiation coming off Godzilla is good, actually.
Yeah,
is basically where they're going with that.
Did they actually nuclear war or something, or
it wasn't quite on the nose, but it I don't want to say too much because spoilers, but it's got a different message to it, let's say. But fuck the story. There's big monsters fighting, and the music is good, so who cares?
So that was about as good as we could hope for in a movie like that in 2019.
It's not the 1998 one.
Sure. See, I barely remember the 1998 one, but I remember watching the animated series based on the 1998 one.
Oh man,
and that was just like no good.
Honestly, my favorite thing about the animated series is just the list of monsters in it, because instead of having any kind of licensed monsters or like monsters in the same vein. It's just giant animal, like giant bat, giant dog, giant. It's I haven't seen much of the cartoon.
Isn't there some crossover movie where like real Godzilla completely beats the shit out of 1998 Godzilla?
Yeah, that's Final Wars, and it's very good.
Well, okay, so I just gotta throw this out here. What is the best, like, after the original? What is the best, like, Godzilla movie?
Shin Godzilla, probably, in terms of like actually good.
Is that the one from a few years ago?
That's Hideaki Anno's one.
The Anno one.
I still need to see that.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see that one out of curiosity.
I feel like people are very, divided by that one because it is a very different film. Like, if you want to watch a Godzilla film where Godzilla beats shit up, then that's not the film for you. But
my understanding is it's way more in the vein of the original Godzilla.
Yeah. It's. I feel like it is the Kamen Rider Gaim of Kamen Riders. In that it's the one that is actually good, whereas some of the other ones are good but for different reasons.
Yes, now I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we're talking the
like
same
obviously
language.
the original Godzilla is up there as well. But like if you just want to see Godzilla beat shit up, then Final Wars is pretty good because it's just Godzilla versus every monster going.
Which one has Jet Jaguar where Godzilla drop kicks the motherfucker?
I forget. It was like one of those like anti-bullying ones, and I forget what they were. There was a weird period of Godzilla films.
Okay.
Because
Jet Jaguar Godzilla versus Megalon.
That sounds right. Because Jet Jaguar was just a kid designed super monster hero thing.
Got it. Okay.
And they turned that into, well, they loosely turned it into what Jet Jaguar ended up being. It was a bit different in the drawing, but it was a contest winner.
Oh, it was actually drawn by a child?
Yes.
Okay.
Jet Jaguar is the prize that none of us asked for.
All right, then. Well, I guess anything else we've been up to outside of Godzilla? I know I got to, as everyone may have seen the video last weekend, I got to play the Granblue Fantasy Versus since the last time, or versus beta since the last time we talked, and that was pretty cool. You can go check out my video with my, I guess, more detailed thoughts on it. But
is there a gacha in the fighting game? How many times do I have to roll to get my good characters?
There wasn't one in the beta. I will eat my hat if there is not one for the little avatars.
I mean, doesn't Dragon Ball FighterZ have a gacha for like
yeah, they do, right?
Stuff?
I never played the full version of that either, but I do like it's the first lobby system I actually like, where because like a couple years ago, Arc System Works decided to put the lobby system in all their like multiplayer.
I've never liked those.
And you're right, they just feel like completely like pointless, right? But for some reason, this one I kind of liked because like the conceit of it is they stick a bunch of actual arcade cabinets on the deck of your airship. And you join a room with like I think it's 50 or 60 people, and you get just to walk around and find an open cabinet and sit down.
That's how it's been, hasn't it?
Wasn't the
that's how it was in like Persona 4 Ultimax.
Yeah, no, but some of the other ones I think you just like go to this is the versus queue, and you just walk up to it and it finds a match. I think that's how it was in Dragon Ball when I played at some point. And I don't remember how the Guilty Gear one works, but I don't know. I thought it kind of worked because then you can just go find a match and look around. I mean, it's kind of actively the same as if you went to like Quick Match or something and just looked at a list, except you have a little avatar to walk around with. But I'm pretty sure that's where the gacha is going to come in, so you can roll for your avatar. But
get your SSR.
As someone that like hasn't like doesn't know jack shit about Granblue, have you actually played the gacha game?
Oh, I've played a lot of the original
Okay.
game, yes.
So are the characters in this game like main story characters from that, or are they just people that are in the gacha pool? Or
yes.
I seem to recall a news story that like one of the characters in the fighting game is like a relatively obscure character in the gacha game, but the voice actress said she got into voice work because she wanted to voice a fighting game character one day, and so they put that character in the fighting game.
Okay, so I guess to answer the question more correctly, all of them except Catalina are not like the ones they give you it for free in the story, if that's what you're... Because you do, if you play the story, you get some of the free characters. And Catalina is like the first character you get, but after that, like they haven't shown... There's maybe like 5 or 6 characters that you get through the story. I would be shocked if they don't make it in eventually, but they're not they weren't in the beta.
Right.
The other characters that are in the beta are some of the more popular ones that do like show up in the story in other spots. There haven't been any like super... I mean, I'm not like incredibly tapped into the Granblue Fantasy fandom, but so far they haven't been any, like, from what I can tell, super obscure ones that they've shown so far, including the 2 new characters that they announced that didn't make it into the beta. So I don't think any of them are particularly deep cuts. I guess the one character they announced that's like the cat guy, and it's like actually 5 cat guys in one or something like that.
Okay.
It's like him and his friends are mostly popular because of a series of side stories in the game, like side story events. So that's probably about, but still everybody knows who he is. So it's not like a, deep cut there.
Is there like one character that people playing the mobile game are like mad that they haven't announced yet that will probably get in there?
No, I don't think everybody's mad yet because they're still
not everybody's been announced yet. Right?
Yeah, they're still completely open to possibility. So right now everyone's in the I want to see this guy or I want to see this girl or whatever phase, and nobody's like mad yet.
Right.
There will definitely be anger, I'm sure, once the final roster is announced.
I mean, there's hundreds of characters.
Yeah, because there's literally. I checked I was curious. I checked my box. I have 319 characters myself.
Great.
Which there are some repeats for like same character, different element. But if you cull that down, to like 200 or something, that's still plenty.
You're like bikini event versions of
right
characters.
So
there's room for the DLC to just be 6 Gokus again.
Yes.
Perfect. I love it.
There is room for that, despite there being literally hundreds of other characters to pick from.
Put in Master Roshi, you goddamn coward.
Yeah. I guess Dragon Ball is a similar situation where there's like hundreds of characters, and yet they still choose to put 6 Gokus.
Put in Master Roshi. Put in Mr. Satan.
Yeah, I'm actually almost more surprised Mr. Satan's not in there.
Yeah.
There's plenty more we can stick in there, but game's pretty cool. Roster aside, I think it'll be pretty good. I hope they get some kind of fight stick support for my old fight stick, so I don't have to buy a new fight stick.
Oh yeah, yours is from the old days.
Yeah, like Guilty Gear, like new Guilty Gears actually support it, but I don't know if they're gonna finally discontinue that or whatever. I hate playing on controller personally, so I was surprised I actually managed to do as well as I did.
How long until Arc System Works gets tapped to do a Fate anime fighter, or is that ship just sailed forever?
Yeah, I mean they don't. I don't know.
I'm sure they're making plenty of money from that arcade game right now.
Oh yeah, there's that. Yes.
I mean, FGO makes. I was gonna argue FGO makes so much money they don't need to, but I think Granblue is doing pretty well also. So like, I don't think that's gonna.
Granblue is like for not being based on a pre-existing franchise. Like Granblue is doing quite well for itself.
And yes, and being 5 years old. Although I guess FGO is similar age, right?
FGO's like 3-4 years old now.
Yeah. So,
I don't know.
That
it's not like anyone can play unlimited codes anymore. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I figured that's where you were getting to there, but
it's been delisted for years.
I don't know if I would like Arc System Works at least current anime style applied to Fate. I feel like they would have to make I feel like they'd have to filter it to somehow make it look like the UFO table anime style a little bit.
I guess. I don't know, man.
I feel like it would just feel more right that way. I don't know. Add some more. I'm sure they could figure it out. They have all kinds of black magic.
Yeah.
There with their animation tricks and whatnot. So.
It's a series, right? The 6 sabers in DLC too.
There's far more than 6.
Way more than 6, yeah, at this point. Just pick a color. Red saber, blue saber, white saber, black saber.
1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish.
Yes. All right. So let's get into our news. We'll start with some non-Pokemon news because we'll have plenty of Pokemon news
before we get to all of the Pokemon news
at the end of all this. I wanted to mention the Funimation that was announced acquired Manga Entertainment, which, if anybody is not familiar, they used to be a bigger deal here in the United States, but went on to be like the biggest, or from what I understand, most biggest anime distributor in the UK.
Yep.
And this is interesting because Funimation has always been like completely US based with their licensing and all their services. And if everybody recalls, not too long ago, sometime last year, they were purchased by Sony and
that's right, yeah.
Which led to the split with Crunchyroll. And they did specifically say after the purchase by Sony and the split with Crunchyroll that they were going to be looking at targeting international markets. So I'm assuming this is the first step in that to getting out of the United States. But so yeah, I guess Chris, you can get ready for some subpar streaming services, but pretty decent dubs in your future.
I feel like that's kind of where I'm at with Funimation, because my like real experience of Funny as someone in the UK is I used their website to watch Dragon Ball Super, and it was a dreadful time. So I don't really know much else than that, because it's never really applied to us over here. But I don't know. It's not like they're a small company, so I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. But this is the same company that put out the DVD of Akira that I watched when I was like first getting into anime. So it's kind of curious to see where it'll go.
I seem to recall Zig had some misgivings because Manga UK would sometimes license like smaller, weirder things, or like not try to go for the big money necessarily all the time. Whereas Funimation's like a larger company and would want more returns, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of hard to tell, because at the moment, like, I feel like anime licensing in this country in particular is very different to how it used to be. Like we've had MVM for a while, but we've got All the Anime as well has been doing a decent job of picking up some of those obscure titles. Like they did a lot of their earlier releases through Kickstarter just because they weren't sure they could get the money for it.
Right.
So it's hard for me to say, because like I'm long since out of actually buying physical anime discs, but
yeah,
but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing on face value. Like it depends on what Funimation decide to do with it, but I can't imagine they would change the UK operation that much. It seems to be doing okay.
Like, ideal situation just means that now all of the Funimation catalog that was not licensed there is now licensed there, or whatever.
Does the Manga Entertainment have any other like they don't have any streaming service, right? Were they just all physical releases? Or
No. Yeah, there's nothing like that as far as I'm aware. I don't know if there's any deals either. I'm trying to remember because I feel like some of their catalog might be on Amazon, but I don't think there's like a specific deal there.
right?
The main thing I remember is that like the first like rips of Dragon Ball Broly were from Manga UK.
Yup.
Yeah,
Which,
I mean,
that's all I got.
yeah. I was just curious because I know some stuff gets region locked with Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
I feel like there's opportunity there for somebody like Funimation or whoever to sneak in maybe on that, covering some of those holes.
It could happen. I feel like at the moment, like for things that aren't licensed by a UK distributor or things that are licensed by anime distributor that shall not be named because their releases suck. A lot of people just import DVDs from Australia because we're the same region and it's typically cheaper sometimes. So,
Okay then.
yeah, it's weird, but it's. I mean, like you say, if it opens up that funny catalog, then it might not be so bad. But I wonder about kind of how that will affect the non-Manga UK distributors.
Right, we'll just like push them out of the market with sheer momentum. Like
It could affect them. I don't think it'll be so bad because I know all the anime tend to focus more on movies. They do series, but it's mostly movies. MVM do pretty much everything, but yeah, I guess it's like I don't really know what to expect, but I'm not all doom and gloom about it just yet.
All right. Well, we'll see how that goes. I'd be curious to see if they like keep the branding or if they just come in and say we're Funimation now or whatever. But we'll see.
The
what
logo's
happens.
purple now.
Oh, is it? Oh man. See, I do actually have like some nostalgia for that because I the Manga Entertainment logo was. I mean, that was, you mentioned like Akira and like what was the other one? Ninja Scroll and like a lot of those movies that were popping up even here in America in the early to mid 90s were all put out by them here.
Yeah. I should clarify that I made the purple thing up, but that's kind of where I expected to go.
Oh yes. Just make that logo because
just the red manga turn across with Funimation purple.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Just do that and call it a day. So, all right, let's move along. This has kind of been a topic we've been discussing. Had some ongoing discussion on over the past couple of episodes about conditions in the anime industry. And a story popped up about this particular government official in Japan proposing some guidelines for improving working conditions in the anime industry. And first of all, let me say interesting form because he is talking about this specifically with the anime industry. And even though he mentions there's probably only about 5,000 people working in it, but that people love anime and we should get this thing fixed or whatever in his statement. But some of the things that that have been proposed are putting in the contract that the production committee is responsible for organizing the schedule. So, if people don't know what a production committee is, when we talk about anime being made by a studio, it's kind of like it's made by the studio, but it's the production committee that's in charge. So, like when they decide to make an anime, it's a group of people that are act as like the producers of figuring out who's going to do what to get the anime done. So they're the ones that are really in charge. You always see in the opening credits during the OP, it'll say whatever the name, they make up a name for every anime for
project something committee or whatever, right?
Yeah, and that's going to be like the group of people determining who's going to do what to get the anime done. So they're the ones that are like really in charge. So in this thing, they're saying that in the contract, the production committee is going to be responsible for having a schedule, and that there would be tangible punishments for failing to comply with the terms of the contract, which would include keeping the schedule, and also setting up example contracts to show what would be best practices for various circumstances. So pretty vague here, but I guess it is an attempt to have some kind of accountability for, you know, the people in charge, as opposed to accountability and, you know, setting limitations to protect the actual people making the anime. But at this stage, these suggestions, he's basically just putting them out to the public for public opinion, I guess, is what was happening. Nothing is actually happening. Sure. But I don't know. I mean, I guess it's something. It doesn't seem like a whole lot at this stage.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you know, like even us not being super close to that, to like hearing all of these kind of firsthand accounts, it's one of those things that, you know, is like a complete nightmare over there. But I feel like whilst this is helpful, and the fact that it's a guideline rather than like an actual, you know, concrete thing. I obviously, I guess it's tricky to get that to be, you know, followed across the board, and this is like a good first step. But you'd kind of hope that things like wage and work-life balance would be addressed too. Obviously, it's kind of like a bit of a difficult conversation when it comes to Japan in terms of work-life balance, but like it's I feel like personally, and granted, I don't know too much about the industry in general, but it feels like it's not quite going far enough. But I guess wait and see what people who actually work in that industry think of it.
I mean, the super cynical side of me looks at this as like, why did this guy... Well, it says it's proposed by the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, but I think it's one specific politician that's leading this up or whatever. It feels to me more like a stunt to get a certain demographic,
hearts and minds,
on his side, I suppose.
It's almost like when that Final Fantasy guy did that drawing for the Japanese conservative liberal Democrats.
Yeah, so I have, you know, I have to wonder if anything is actually being hoped to be accomplished with this, or if it's just a political move to get a certain group of people on board with this particular politician or whatever. But
right,
I don't know.
I feel like the fact that they ask for people to feed back on those guidelines is a bit telling as well. But you know, I don't want to be cynical about it. It'd be good if this does lead to some change, sure. But I just feel like we're still not going far enough, like especially wage wise. They get, from what I hear anyway, they don't seem to get paid not nearly enough for what they do.
Yeah.
So it just seems like they're not quite going as far as they should, and maybe it's because the politician doesn't want to tread on too many toes. I don't know.
Or what could realistically pass through, you know, what kind of legislation could realistically get done. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like any real change would have to be, I don't know if any like government regulation is going to be passed or be helpful. There'd have to be some kind of other economic consequences for the production committees and the studios to change. But who knows? We'll have to see. Hopefully somebody will come up with something. I don't think there's going to be one magical solution. You know, hopefully it's just something that can be adjusted over time. But anyway, one more story I wanted to touch on before we get into the Pokemon stuff. It was announced there's going to be a new Sound Euphonium anime project. It's going to be by Kyoto Animation. We don't know what format yet, which is important because technically there's already been 3 Sound Euphonium related movies, so it could be another movie. Although, based on the premise, it sounds like I would hope it would be another TV show, because it's going to be centered on Kumiko's third year in high school, which I guess the original author of the novels reappeared on the scene and decided to write at some point. And they're going to do some kind of anime project based on it. So
was Euphonium one of those ones that was like winner of the KyoAni contest, where we make an anime out of your
winner
thing?
of the KyoAni contest, so we can steal it.
Right?
We can steal your idea for an anime. I'm pretty sure it was, yes.
Okay.
And so, as always, I'm a bit ambivalent on getting more of a good series, which, I think, okay, so, I don't know how hot a take this is at this point, but I think the first season of Sound Euphonium is one of the best things Kyoto Animation has ever done. The second season is pretty good. I wouldn't say I was like disappointed in it, but I would not say it was better than the first season. And I would say that the second season ended at a point where I feel like the show should have stopped. So I'm a
and then there were like 2 movies.
Well,
after
they made 2 movies that I think were primarily recap movies, and then the third movie was Liz and the Bluebird, which was like a side story and kind of its own separate entity.
Sound Euphonium.
Yeah, it was kind of its own separate entity, like a different art style and everything. There's a completely different, like, it just happened to have
like focuses on different characters, and you just see the main girls in the background.
Right.
Also, I hear.
Yeah, I mean, so I should point out the girls in Liz and the Bluebird were one of the side stories in season 2, but then the movie is like entirely focused on like their whole story and everything. I don't think it's retreading the ground, more so just like continuing their story. But yeah, season two. So like season 1 ended in a spot where like, okay, I could take more Sound Euphonium. I could give or take, one way or the other, I'd be fine. Season 2 ended at a spot where like, I don't feel like we need to reopen this story at this point. I mean, they did a big title drop at the end. How do you move on after you do the big title drop? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I remember watching season 2, like I think it was when I was in Scotland with Zig, and I'd put it off. I didn't watch it when it aired, and I remember thinking it was fine.
Right.
Like I really liked the first season as well, but I just never felt the urge to kind of watch through season 2 until then. And it was fine. It was not a bad show. It's just it's hard to get excited for a season 3 or a movie that continues. But that said, I've heard good things about Liz and the Bluebird, so I wouldn't mind watching that at some point.
Yeah, I do want to watch that. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I think it's more of its own entity. Because like I said, it even looks different. Like it doesn't even have the same like art style or anything. So that would be interesting. As for this, I think some people got up in arms a little bit on the description because they mentioned, famously KyoAni always takes these novels from their not prize winners and steals the ideas and then kind of reworks them into something that's usually better. And famously in this one, the main girl Kumiko is supposed to hook up with this dude. They start dating in the novels, and that never happens in the anime. And so because they just make her like super gay in the anime. Well, she is in the novels too, but they double down on it in the in the anime.
It's not exactly subtle.
No, it's not subtle at all. So the so in the description for the new novels, which I don't know if the new novels are out or not, because I think the writer stopped and then decided to resume again after the success of the anime or something like that. In the description of the new novels, it mentions Kumiko is now the band leader, and now that the seniors are gone, and she has broken up with the guy that she was dating.
Sure.
So everyone's like, "Oh, does that mean they're going to add that in the anime where they were dating or whatever?" And I'm like, everybody, chill out. They're probably just going to completely gloss over that. If I'm going to guess,
it's not
important. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm even more wary of a season 3 than I was of a season 2 in this case, because at the end of season 1 they ended with like the big band competition and we won, but now we have to move on to the nationals or whatever, and there was still more story to tell, whereas this one it was like I dumped my girlfriend for my hot glasses senpai and now she has to graduate. It's time to end, good place to end the story. That's my summary of season 2, folks. Spoiler alert.
They still didn't hit the lofty heights of playing Yellow Magic Orchestra music in a park in season 2, so what's the point? I
suppose not. But they did have that great title drop in the final scene, so I don't know how they're going to top that. But I like the series a lot, so hopefully it'll be good. I'm just, again, cautious. All right, so
speaking of cautious,
I don't know where you're going with this one, to be honest.
I don't know. I don't know how to feel about some of this news.
Fair enough. Pokemon. So there was a lot of Pokemon news.
There was a whole Pokemon. There was a whole Pokemon like investor meeting thing.
Normally,
and then there was the Sword Shield Direct.
Normally, we have to find excuses to talk about Pokemon. In this case,
I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Pokemon's great. I'll watch it every week.
In this case, there's actually legitimate reasons to talk about it because, like Iro said, there was an investor meeting which had a lot of new announcements, and then there was a new direct about the upcoming Switch game Sword and Shield. So at the investor meeting, they announced a bunch of things, including whatever in the world Pokemon Sleep is. Did they actually say anything substantial about what that was, other than like a creepy
gamify your sleep with
literally
Pokemon?
More than that.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's going to be similar.
Here's this accessory you can buy that's specifically for Pokemon Sleep.
It's called the Pokemon Go Plus Plus.
Oh, right. I forgot.
That's
I completely forgot.
It's not even the Pokemon Go like Double Plus. It's Pokemon Go Plus.
That is the real actual name that somebody decided to give the device. The Pokemon Go Plus Plus.
It's great.
Do you have one, Chris? Because I know you play Pokemon Go. Do you have the old or the regular Plus? Just the single Plus?
I have the regular Plus, and I've got the Pokeball Plus, and neither are worth it. So never mind.
All right. What? But don't you get Mew if you buy the Pokeball?
I do have Mew because of that, but that's about the only thing it's worth.
I'm assuming this is going to be the same technology as like. I don't know if you guys are familiar, like if you get like a sleep app or something on your phone to like track your
right. It uses like the accelerometer to tell how much you're
you like stick it like in your mattress somewhere or something, and then it measures like.
It literally seems like it's a Pokemon Go Plus with an accelerometer in it for that reason,
right.
And buy one again, I guess, if you're bored.
So now you can just be catching Pokemon 24 hours a day. While you're awake and while you're sleeping.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. I got some of that. What was that Wii health sensor thing from years ago? The vitality sensor. I got some vitality sensor vibes off of this one. The crowd was not exactly going wild over Pokemon Sleep. They did also reveal,
but
in that conference, the DeNA smartphone game, which we were all curious about, and they went an interesting direction. Maybe interesting is a little generous. So it's going to be called Pokemon Masters, and you're instead of gacha rolling for Pokemon, you're going to be gacha rolling for the famous Pokemon trainers. So you can burn hundreds.
Get your special event bikini, Misty.
You can burn hundreds of dollars rolling.
Definitely different from regular Misty.
Burn hundreds of dollars rolling for your 5-star Cynthia or whoever. But I get.
The thing is, you just know it's gonna be like Fire Emblem Heroes, where it's the same character, but there's 5 levels, and that each one just probably has like stronger Pokemon team.
Well,
right? Or even worse, they could just have two different gachas for the same game, one with the trainers and one for a Pokemon.
No, it looked like to me that each trainer has a Pokemon like as one unit, right? That's what it looked like to me. And I was thinking, because you got to pad out the numbers, right? I was thinking instead of, and I'm sure there will be multiple copies of the famous ones, but I was thinking you could fill in like the like generic no name ones as like the 2 and 3 star or whatever bottom feeder stuff.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like you'll have like your 3-star Misty that has like Goldeen, and you'll have your 4-star Misty that's got like Horsey or something, and your 5-star Misty that's got like Starmie.
Oh, they could totally do that. Yeah,
like that's what I'm saying.
The
like
possibilities to exploit the audience is endless.
What if it's like Dragalia in that you roll for both heroes and Pokemon, and you just
I think that might be the case.
Like if Misty is just like giving bonuses to water types and bigger bonuses to specifically her Pokemon, then it could get really gnarly.
That's what I'm saying. Quickly. Like you give double the gacha, double the cash.
I'm in, but I don't like that.
I got the impression looking at the footage that because you'd put like multiple trainers in your team in each slot, it looked like each trainer just had whatever Pokemon they had with it. That was the impression I got, but we can only speculate at this point.
It's gonna make so much money.
A lot
I hate it.
of money, probably more than the regular Pokemon games. So I guess we can. I don't know what we were expecting. I guess part of me was expecting at some point they would just pull the trigger on sticking all the Pokemon in a gacha machine and doing it that way, because that's basically what Puzzles and Dragons is. But maybe they're still drawing that line somewhere for now to protect the main games or something. I don't know.
I think they're still hoping to make their millions on Pokemon Rumble Rush that came out like a few weeks ago and just sucks.
That's right, that did happen.
Yeah,
did come out.
I think people forget how many like Pokemon mobile games are out there. Like there's quite a few, actually. I think we mentioned that last time, but
I give them all a go, but most of them suck.
I mean, let's be honest though, I will give Pokemon Masters a shot.
Yeah.
So what trainer are you prepared to empty your bank account for?
See, I don't.
Who are you going to max out your credit card to get?
I don't care enough about Pokemon to like the characters and stuff to really even know or who I would pick for that question. I don't know if Chris has an answer, but
I just want Team Rocket.
Yeah.
Are you even going to be available, or are you going to be fighting Team Rocket? Like
I mean, they were trainers in Yellow. Like, why not?
Yeah, they were in Let's Go Pikachu, right?
Yeah.
So there you go.
Like Guzma. He's got like a skull on his shirt, and he likes rap. He's good.
Let's Get High. Yeah. As was said by Team Skull.
His evil team tried to steal a bus stop.
I mean, I was every stage could be whatever Team X that you're fought in whatever game, right? So you could have a Team Rocket or a Team Skull or whatever stage.
I guess so.
What about like Jellyfish Lucamino?
Oh yeah.
SSR.
You're 5-star possessed Lucamino.
Sure, I'd roll for that.
Comes with Angry Clefable.
Dark Clefable, like the trading cards.
Shadow Lugia.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to see more on that one before we can pass final judgment. But it feels like a lot of the things we said are inevitable.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So aside from that, more recently, we did have a Nintendo Direct talking about the upcoming Switch game, the Pokemon Sword and Shield, which has been previously announced, but they revealed a couple new Pokemon and whatnot. Now, I haven't.
Yep. Shout out to
I have intentionally not watched the Direct to see how much I would just absorb from internet osmosis.
What have you absorbed?
So far, what I've learned is there's a dog with a sword in his mouth.
Yes.
Yep.
There's a bird that looks like the Goof custom from Gundam, whatever Gundam
Yes.
it is that you and G like. I forget the name. And then there's a tiny sheep that the internet will gladly die to protect. Does that all sound about right?
Uh-huh.
Did I
Sounds about
miss
right.
any important?
That's the vast majority of it.
What comes to mind if I say the word Dynamax?
Oh, is that what the big ones are? Like, do you make your Pokemon big or something? Again, I did not watch the direct. I don't know anything other than what I've seen from context.
Yeah, you can Dynamax your Pokemon, and they turn hella big.
We finally got the Pokemon Kaiju game that we were waiting for.
Yeah.
So now you can have a giant dog with a sword in its mouth, right? Okay.
Yep. Sure.
Yeah.
If you like that sheep, you can make that sheep big.
Yeah. Giant Wooloo. Dynamax Wooloo.
Sure. Yeah, I was mostly enjoying the dog with the sword in its mouth. Had a lot of actually decent jokes.
Yeah. I just kept thinking of Rapide from Tales of Vesperia.
But
of course, like, everyone else goes for the low-hanging fruit and says Dark Souls.
Oh, is there a dog in Dark Souls that has a sword in its mouth?
Yeah, there's a giant wolf in Dark Souls that has a sword in its mouth.
Yeah, I feel like there's been quite a few, actually, if we go through the history of video games.
Yeah, Koromaru sorcery
is another one. So, it's a long-standing tradition, I'm sure. But I guess. What is the? I don't know if I saw the shield one. I'm assuming there's a corresponding shield one.
It's got a big shield head.
Yep, it's just mostly shield.
This made me think of those cone collars when you don't want the dog to scratch itself.
It's totally like that.
Is it like that? Because that's pretty.
Kinda, yeah.
That's pretty good. Oh man.
If a dog just sticks its head through a screen door, that is it.
Right.
All right.
But yeah, I think it's kind of notable because they got a foreigner, I guess, to be art director on this one.
Mm-hmm.
The dude's been working at Game Freak for years and years now. But I guess in my head, they were just like, oh, the new Pokemon game's in Britain. Let's get the one British guy on the art team to take charge.
Interesting.
He's also the creator of Vanillish and its line, so
I always had a soft spot for those guys.
That's not bad.
He takes a lot of shit, I think, from people for those designs, and fucking look at Gen 1. Come on.
Yeah.
There was a ball with a face on it. Shut up.
Is there a release date for Sword Shield yet, or are we?
Yeah, it's November something. I forget 15th, the exact day. 15th. Okay.
I don't want to think about that rapidly approaching, but we are in.
Yeah, isn't Death Stranding comes out before Pokemon? Weird.
Yep, and Shenmue 3.
That's real wild.
I will believe Shenmue 3 is out when I'm seeing people playing it.
Honestly, now that Pokemon has a release date around that area and Death Stranding, I think Shenmue will suddenly need a delay again.
Second delay, yeah.
Let's be honest. No one's gonna buy Shenmue regardless.
Ouch. I don't know. Pokemon looks all right.
Yeah. So we'll see what other. I'm wondering if and when they're gonna show the starter evolutions, because that's what everybody wants to see, right?
Yeah. I've heard tales that they've been leaked. I've not confirmed that, but
I did read the leak in question, and it seems pretty convincing.
Okay.
In terms of assuming there was no funny business going on, there was a post 2 weeks before that direct, and it called a lot of the things that happened in that trailer by name.
Okay.
So they the poster absolutely saw the trailer. It's just whether or not the extra stuff they added that wasn't in the trailer is just bullshit or not. But it all seems pretty legit, honestly.
Okay then.
Did it actually show stuff or just
No, it's just spelled out like
the
Descriptions.
some of the Pokemon that didn't get shown and some of the trainers and that kind of stuff.
All right.
Right. I'm curious about what the villain team will be in fake UK.
It did name them in that leak. I can't
okay.
remember who it named them as, but yeah, it's in there. Assuming it's correct anyway.
I think it'd be like, I don't know, Chris, what would be like a stereotypical British villain archetype that they could use for the team?
Everyone wears a top hat and has a cane.
That's just the fucking bourgeoisie.
Yeah, it's every bad guy is Professor Layton.
That would be pretty good. I am looking forward to
Enough of your shit, Professor.
I am looking at the very least. I am looking forward to seeing another weird version of Anime Britain.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sad to see the Sun Moon anime go. But I'm curious as to what they'll do for Galar.
It does seem like Rotom is in the mobile phones that they were using. So,
I saw that. There's Rotom phone in the new one.
If they could just keep the same style and just, make it a continuation, that'd be good.
Just keep Rotom Dex from Alola.
Yeah. It has a new house now. It's fine.
All right. I did want to mention one more thing announced, which I guess was at the previous event, but those really cool Pokemon dress shirts we talked about many episodes ago are apparently getting overseas release starting with the US and Europe. They said
those are so expensive, but they're really nice.
I really want to get one. I don't know. We'll see. I don't like buying. I feel like expensive clothes are a waste of money, but I don't know. We'll see.
I'd be tempted if I needed a shirt for work. I'd be tempted, but I don't. So
get your like Paisley Kakuna dress shirt.
I mean, I do have circumstances where I like to wear nice shirts when I go out, and not just wear a t-shirt. So I could see that happening, but I don't know if I could justify it. The cost of some of those, but they're pretty cool. Maybe I'll link it again because, like I said, we did talk about it, several episodes ago at some point for whatever reason. I forget how it came up, but they're just like the really classy. Like, it's not like here's a white dress shirt with a giant Charmander on it. Like, they have like nice patterns and stuff.
I think they actually did make one pattern for all 151 original.
Yeah,
Pokemon.
Oh, so I only saw
that preview we linked before was when it was first announced, and so there were only like a handful that they showed online.
Okay,
but my understanding is there are in fact 151 patterns available.
All right, I'll have to dig deeper on that because I want to see those. I want to see what they did for Snorlax.
You can finally get
I think it's just Snorlax.
Yeah.
There's, I think, some blog somewhere took photos of every pattern, so I'll poke around for that.
Yeah,
see if we can put in the show notes.
See if we can stick that in the show notes because this makes very compelling audio at the moment. But
just give me like a far-fetched tie, and I'll be all right.
Wouldn't it just be like a leak or something? Like,
yeah, but that's boring. Be more exciting.
Everyone would think it's a Hatsune Miku tie, actually.
Far-fetched.
Yeah.
Or at least, like, can the Porygon one just be something out of the 80s?
It's like a plaid for Farfetch'd.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, riveting audio.
Yes. Yeah, we'll check that out and link it, everybody. But check those out. Even if you don't buy them, the patterns are very cool. So, all right. So that ends our news segment. Let's move on to talk about some anime. And let's catch up with Carole and Tuesday.
Yeah.
After my ranting last week, I don't know if I feel any better, but I did enjoy these two. I did enjoy these two episodes, not because of Carole and Tuesday, but because of all the
Fire Brothers got robbed, man.
shenanigans. So basically, episode 8 and 9, we're deep into the Mars Got Talent competition here, and we have a couple of the contestants get up and do their numbers. So each episode had 2 different performances. The first ones we kicked off with the Fire Brothers, who are these ancient old men still practicing the dark arts of metal.
Yeah, the lost music genre of heavy metal.
Yeah, it's funny, after they perform, one of the judges is like, "It's like you guys got in a time machine from the 20th century and came here." And so they do their like hardcore metal song, even though they're these like cartoonishly old men. It's
like Professor Layton looking motherfuckers.
Yeah, they don't even look like real people in the context of the show. They're like little round balls of human or whatever. But so you know, that's the joke, of course, that they're these little old men that are shredding and singing death metal. And
I think the pyrotechnics were also built into their guitars.
Yes. Yeah, so they have like sparks shooting out of their guitars. That's a fun trick.
I'm looking forward to that. If in for later on in the real world, I'd like to see some of that.
Yeah,
get that at a Rammstein concert or something.
Yeah, I hasn't that been done in some capacity before?
Oh, I'm sure it probably actually has.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think that was pulling from something, but yeah. So I guess the whole thing is like a tournament. So it's a straight up like
single elimination
tournament thing. So they get paired up with the social media star guy that we've seen kind of smoozing away around the past couple episodes, and we're I guess the twist here is that we just assume he's a talentless whatever, because he's just popular because he's got a lot of Twitter followers or whatever, but turns out he can sing, so he ends up.
Sure.
And I do want to point out, and maybe this is we always harp on the Watanabe being an old man here, not understanding some of these things. When they're introducing him, they're like, you're insanely popular on social media. You have 800,000 followers.
Yeah, it seems a little small.
And I'm like, okay, yes, that is very popular, but if we're talking like on the upper, echelons of social media popularity,
you'd have 80 million,
right? Yeah, I mean,
maybe
at least
that's like half of the population of Mars, though. Do we even know what happened to the people on Earth?
I don't know. I don't think we do.
I don't think they've said anything specific. I remember I wasn't paying that close attention. I was watching episode 9 earlier. There's like a news story running in the background while Carole and Tuesday are talking. So I wasn't really paying close attention, but they did say something about Earth in the news story, and I didn't go back and look.
Huh.
So I think Earth is still around, but
Instagram still exists, so there's a server down there somewhere.
Yeah, right. So I think Mars is just another place or whatever. But yeah, I guess if you're looking at the context of Mars is probably going to have a smaller population than Earth, then maybe 800,000 is a bigger number. But
800,000 people that don't know who Justin Timberlake is, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, we had that in this episode, and then we also introduced the one creepy stalker character.
Right, that's a little. It's a little on the nose.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out exactly where they're going with her. I mean,
they do kind of establish pretty quickly that she has Tuesday's phone number, so I'm not convinced that we have seen the last of her.
Of course not. But just also,
yeah, it's a bit 0 to 100 pretty quickly. But
yeah, particularly after what happens in 9. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think. Well, I guess we could just get into 9, because 9 has the other 2 performances where we.
I mean, shout out to OG Bulldog and his Latin opera rap. He loses to Carole and Tuesday.
Yes, you know what? Because this is Mars Got Talent and is based on real shows. I have to admit, when I saw that guy, I was, and he was getting up on stage, I'm like, he's going to be an opera singer. So you could just tell. I mean, it was obvious he was not going to be just what he is at
regular
value.
Yeah.
And the so but it's always opera, right? Because that's the weird thing to pull out of nowhere. And he's he's like this big. I mean, his name is OG Bulldog, and he's like this huge mountain of a man that's super intimidating. And he's the one paired up against Carole and Tuesday, and he ends up losing to them despite his weird. Well, obviously he's a great singer, but it was kind of a weird mix, I think. With he tries to do opera to a trap beat or something, but then in Carole and Tuesday do their song, which is another one of their songs. And I think we missed a couple other people. I'll get to the Mermaid Sisters in a minute.
Yeah,
we had that. What was it?
GGK.
Yes, GGK.
Weird, like I commune with the universe.
Yeah,
stuff.
And that like all the songs were like okay,
fine.
They were fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that goes back to, we say this every episode, but the ongoing challenge of, making what's supposed to be amazing music.
Right.
And trying to determine when are we supposed to narratively know that this is amazing or good or bad.
Yeah, I feel like that's the problem I keep running into, right? Like,
yeah. Because even
I don't know enough about music to really judge whether something's particularly good or bad. I just have to go off of like, I guess everyone, because everyone's going like, oh, to Carole and Tuesday's song in episode 8, it must be super good in universe.
Yeah.
Like I just have to infer that.
Yeah. They do give you the audience reactions to tell you. And I think the thing with these two episodes, other than the Mermaid Sisters, everybody's like, oh, that's great to every single performance, right? So like it's hard to gauge like because everybody had a good song, and then it was just like gauging which one was like the better one or whatever.
I feel like in particular we got the like a full version of Move Mountains with music in it this time, rather than just having it sung in front of the music dude. But the problem with that is that I kind of heard that, and obviously you can tell by the crowd's reaction that they're kind of stunned, they're in awe of it, and I'm just like, I kind of preferred the other version, but okay.
yeah. I was kind of get to that because they end with Angela's performance, and that's the one where they go from everybody's like, oh wow, this is good, to everyone is just like stunned silence, like it's supposed to be the most amazing thing ever, and it's good, but it doesn't sound like really better than any of the other songs, in my opinion. I mean, obviously it's subjective, but I actually think I do have my rock snob music opinions from I can pick out, I can be critical, be good at being critical on music, and it sounds about the same, like they're all just like solid pop songs or whatever, and it again, we have to rely on them telling us that this was amazing, so much more so than every other, all the other ones that we've seen.
Okay, but what about the mermaid? What about the Mermaid Sisters?
Okay.
What about your doo-wop swear medley?
That was unquestionably my favorite moment of these two episodes, because I actually laughed quite hard at this. So they have the one group, the Mermaid Sisters, get up to do their song, and as Iro said, it's this like doo-wop, beautiful 4-part harmony of just like this nonstop consecutive string of swear words. I'm actually impressed.
It's a joke from like Penny and Stocking or something.
Yes, right, I'm actually impressed that they made the syllables fit so well to sound so good.
It was actually like
they went hard, like they were committed to that bit.
Yes, and I was trying to figure out if, like, because at the end, well, the judge cuts it short because it's so bad, and then like the the judges like, your harmony is beautiful, but your lyrics are terrible. I was wondering if like, were those supposed to be the actual lyrics, or are they just like, we have to write bad lyrics, but I don't really want to go through the trouble of writing bad lyrics. So let's just like fill the entire song with swear words.
I feel like the lyrics are my biggest problem with pretty much all of the music in this show, because
they're all just off enough, right?
Yeah, it's like they didn't get a native English speaker to write them, and it kind of shows.
Yeah, but most of them do not sound like they're written by a native
English
speaker. Yeah,
they're all sung kind of like English speakers, but then
I think that's why this song sounds like. Obviously, it's a hilarious goof, but it's like it might actually be the best song in the show. It's like I was in hysterics, but it was something that would fly over here. It's weird, but
at the very least, I think it's a good audio clip to keep on hand.
Yes, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I should put it on the podcast soundboard.
Yeah,
we've had discussions for that one anime radio show about that song, and I kind of want to go in and try and bleep all the swears just to see what it would sound like.
I don't know how much of a song you would have.
I think there's like 5 words in there that you could probably get away with.
Yeah, I don't know if I was trying to think if there are actually any words that are fit for broadcast.
There's of.
They say like son of right.
Yeah. So that was fun. And I mean the 2 episodes were fun. The performances were decent. We had some, I like the stupid ongoing joke with the AI judge where he's like, that song has soul, but I wouldn't know, would I, guys? Ha 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 ha.
It was fine for the first episode, but like once you start saying it every single time, it's like, all right, AI dog, chill out.
Well, I mean,
I think it's only okay because there seems to be like canned laughter behind it.
Right.
That's supposed to be the joke, is that's his like only.
I guess, yeah.
So I mean, yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in here. It just, again, I'm not getting any like, if we're approaching this as a like heartfelt, coming of age story or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I think the only thing that maybe they were dabbling with in this one was with the stalker girl upping her intensity on Tuesday, and Tuesday having to learn to stand up for herself. And that just felt like, I don't know if that belonged in this set of episodes. Like,
right.
While we're...
You go from like this swear-ridden, like hilarious song to sexual assault. So, like, it's a bit jarring.
I find I'm enjoying the show way more when it's like in full goofy comedy mode rather than when it's trying to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Right. Like if this was just supposed to be like a funny, like, look at the, at music and like, celebration of music and, how the industry has worked over the years and what it would look like in a sci-fi setting and stuff like that. Like from that perspective, I think the show is done well. And I do agree. I kind of wish that's just all it was, if they were not going to, really address the more serious stuff that they're trying to bring in. Like, we had last time we talked about the stuff with Angela that they just kind of like throw in there and don't do anything with. Like, why are we even going there at this point if we're not going to sufficiently give those things the time they need to be developed and, have some kind of, message attached to them.
It's you kind of hope that they kind of right the ship a little bit, but like at the moment, like I just feel like I kind of want I want it more in the space dandy vein of Dandy hunts aliens but basically never catches anything. I kind of want Carole and Tuesday to be trying to launch a music career but just don't ever get anywhere with it.
Right.
I just want to see them keep along the way.
But
I know it's not that show, but
yeah, but that's the problem. We know they're going to succeed because they tell us every episode at the beginning. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just not, I'm not feeling satisfied but nevertheless, there was fun to be had this week. I'm less mad than I was last week, I suppose.
Sure.
Maybe coincidentally, there was not a lot of Gus either, so maybe that's what it was. But all right, let's move on then to talk about Sarazanmai. And before I say anything, Iro, have you watched 8 and 9?
I've seen episode 8. I've not seen episode 9.
Oh boy.
I mean, I can only assume
okay,
stuff happens.
Yes, so I'll set the stage. 8 and 9 is basically about Toei, the delinquent kid. We found out at the end of 7 that his brother, who is a criminal,
gotta get out of town,
has been discovered, and he needs to get out of town. And so Toei decides to go with him, and all kinds of trouble happens.
Yes.
in the wake of his trying to get out, including our poor Enta, the glasses kid.
I mean,
running into. Well, I don't know how sympathetic I'm going to be on Enta, but he didn't deserve to run into Toei's brother. Let's put it that way. Who he helps out. Who he helps out in part of his in his escape, and gets a bullet as a reward at the end of the toward the end of the episode.
Well, maybe he shouldn't have stolen the plates.
Yes, right. Well, yes,
I know.
There's that, but then it's does that deserve?
Of course not.
The punishment does not fit the crime on that one. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the whole big, I guess, theme of this arc with Toei's brother is, Toei's, I can't remember his brother's name, to be honest. But his brother's always saying that,
gotta be together. We gotta look out for each other.
No, his brother's always saying that bad people are the ones that succeed in the world, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he has unashamedly been a bad person, with perhaps the only hint of goodness is he's still, theoretically trying to help take care of his brother. When Enta basically takes a bullet at the end, it's that's his take on it, is because he's like, oh, is your friend? Well, hey, I told you, man, good people are not going to survive in this world. Well, that's also there was also the bit when the cops are coming after him, and he literally just kicks Enta in front of
him. Stab this child.
Yeah. Not the cops. Yeah, one of his his Yakuza goon guys is trying to kill him, and he just throws Enta at him to stop the knife. But so real great guy, right? And so that stirs up a whole bunch of stuff with you remember in episode 6 when I'm like, hey, everything's fixed with Kazuki, what are we going to do now? Well, things have now been officially unfixed.
I mean, we find out that far from Enta and Kazuki being their destined partners or whatever, by the laws of cliche, it's Toei and Kazuki are way more appropriate for each other or whatever, because oh no, the soccer football band was Toei's all along.
Yes.
And
yeah.
All that business.
So I do want to mention, I've made a lot of comparisons to Penguin Drum with Sarazanmai, but this specifically is pretty close to Yurikuma Arashi here. There's a bit of an echo of that here, because
I'll pretend I know what that means.
In Yurikuma Arashi, there's the two bear girls and then the other main girl, and it's pretty clear that the main girl and one of the bear girls are the ones that are meant to hook up, but the other bear girl is in love with is still in love with one of them, and she's kind of the Enta character in this analogy, and she ends up well, we don't know Enta's fate yet, but in Yurikuma, she ends up basically sacrificing her life for the other girl's happiness. And there's some,
as you do.
There's some shades of that here going on, although Enta didn't really do anything for Kazuki in this situation, but he still doesn't deserve the fate that he's met at this point.
Right. I mean, the cliffhanger, I feel like the cliffhanger, like, the question that was brought to me at the end of episode 8 was, and considering the themes of the show so far, is if Enta is of love or of desire for
Right.
Kazuki. Right.
Right.
Does that get answered in episode 9, or?
I would say a little bit, but 9 kind of moves the focus more on Toei and his brother.
Okay.
So 9 is like their actual like trying to get out of
right
out of town, and I don't want to say what happens, but I will say,
yeah, I really need to start catching up before these podcasts,
yes,
so that we can actually speak about the episodes.
So I will say, well, first of all, I want to mention specifically in episode 9 some fantastic directing. Again, This is great audio here, but like there's a couple of like really like very well artistically composed shots that are like super striking on some of like the dramatic moments. There's some bits in there with the cops with Reo and Mabu, and there's some really like brilliant shots in there. I'm still not buying. I'm still not like invested into their story at this point,
right? But robot cop man.
Yes, my boyfriend is now a robot, and I'm trying to save him. Plotline, but and then the final scene, there is a montage of memories with of Toei and his brother's past that I thought was really good. And like it's an interesting choice because it's like a sequence of events that's like very specific, like they're like at a festival or something that they choose to show.
Yeah.
And the things that they chose to show and how it's presented and cut in with the actual what's actually happening in the scenes and all that were, I think, very well put together. I mean, for me personally, like it hit me personally pretty hard because just I felt like as somebody who has a like I have a sister who's 15 years younger than me, like I understand that relationship of being like an adult with like a sibling who's still a child, and
right,
like I feel like they captured that very well.
Okay, yeah.
In kind of the final stretch of episode 9, it was, I think, and that might be just my personal context on it, but that was like one of the most.
I mean, that's a valid way to feel about the show.
Sure. But yeah, I'm just saying, for me personally, that was one of the most like emotional parts that we've seen so far in the series. And
Okay.
You should.
I'll have to watch that episode at some point.
You should catch up on that, Iro. But
looking at camera.
I thought it was interesting too. I wanted to mention there was a interview that popped up since last episode with Ikuhara.
Okay.
One of the more, again, I guess he's just in a straightforward mode right now. He even mentioned in the interview he thinks people that maybe didn't previously like his stuff before will be able to enjoy this one, perhaps. Which seems to be the case.
I mean, I am
Iro
still watching Sarazanmai.
Iro being example number
better
1.
than I did for Penguin Drum Warrior Ikuma.
Yeah. But he talked about the context of the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami, on how that's kind of impacted his work, and what he feels is sort of like he described it as like the motifs of this current era. And
sure, it seems to have affected many people's work,
and just kind of how it colored Sarazanmai and the characters that he's writing now, where he wants to write these characters who have experienced loss, and they come to connect and understand each other through their mutual feelings of loss. And there's a whole lot of that going around in this show, which makes perfect sense once he once he said that. But it's a pretty good interview. I'll probably link that in there too. Shout out again to Anime News Network, who translates a lot of these things. So they had put that up. So I'll link it in. It's worth giving that a look if you're watching the show. Provide some interesting context and just his thoughts in general on how that event has impacted. You know, he talks a bit about like how, you know, in post-war Japan has been a lot of the stuff has been about material things and materialism, but like after that, people kind of realized that those things aren't as important as, you know,
once the bubble burst.
Because when you're, you know, when those things are gone, you know, what's important. And so a lot of good material, I think, to tap into and talk about. So that's kind of what he was saying in the interview. So it's kind of a neat thing to read. But yeah, Sarazanmai is good, people. Get on that.
Sure.
I think as someone that has only seen the anime, like the kind of announcement anime poster for Sarazanmai, and it just being like some cutesy looking kappas and some humans, it's really hard for me to put these together.
Oh, yes.
But it's kind of entertaining in its own way, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's like...
When in like last season, when you were talking about Kakegurui, or us talking about Price of Smiles, kind of like vicariously experiencing
or even the previous Ikehara works. Like if you look at the Penguin Drum promo, I get some of the Penguin Drum promo art is a little dark, but or like Yurikuma Arashi, which is just it's all. I guess the Sarazanmai stuff has been particularly like very happy looking, but that is not always the case in that show. Let's put it that way. So, all right.
Anime,
I think
still going.
Still going. So I think that covers us for now.
Yeah.
Everybody look forward to next episode. I think is going to be our season previews already for summer.
Nope.
So prepare yourself for that. We're actually finishing on time this time. I trimmed out some stories, so we're good on time for the first time, and I don't even know how many episodes across.
Well, we still have quite a bit of housekeeping to get to, so you better get going.
Do we have anything out of the ordinary?
What other content can our listeners listen to?
Okay, well, you can come see all of our content at theglorioblog.com. You can check us out on Twitter at theglorioblog. You can check out all of our podcasts, which we've expanded our Glorio network into, what are we up to, 4 podcasts?
Yeah, apart from the Glorio chat, we also have Legend of the Glorio Heroes, where G and I discuss the legendary 1988 science fiction OVA, Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Yes. We're also doing Neon Genesis Evanglorio, which is our Evangelion watch/rewatch prior to coming out on Netflix, which is happening very soon on the 21st of this month. So if you'd like to watch along with us, you can check that out. And we already mentioned, but one more shout out to
Chris. What are you up to?
We watch big monsters fight each other, and it's rad most of the time, not always.
All right.
Yes. What is the official title again?
GLORIO's King of the Kaiju. We didn't really have a catchy name like some of these other ones, so that's what we came up with.
The other ones are not exactly the most original choices, but
there were words that started with G, and we took the opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah, we looked for them, but we couldn't really do that without
really stretching
it.
Yeah. So check all of those out on your usual podcast places. So we're on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. We are on Podbean, and also we upload the videos to YouTube. So you can go like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your enemies, and all that. So, all right. So that'll be an episode. We'll call it on that one. And we'll see everybody next time for those season previews.